For years, I wanted a Jazzmaster. To me, as an alternative guitarist, they are the ultimate guitar. So many of my guitar heroes such as Nels Cline, Steve Zavdowski of Pup, Tom Verlaine of Television, and Elvis Costello have used these guitars. They look cool, they sound cool, and the players who use them are cool. And I wanted to be in the club. For years, I would try out all the different Jazzmasters at my local music stores, hoping to find the one that I would love. Unfortunately, that never really happened. I found that I didn't really like the traditional Jazzmaster style. I didn't like the bridge, and I didn't like the rhythm circuit, which I know sounds very blasphemous, but for me, that was just the truth. I didn't like it. In 2019, I thought I had found my dream Jazzmaster. It was a Fender American Performer Jazzmaster in Lake Placid Blue. For me, this was the ultimate Jazzmaster. It didn't have the rhythm circuit, and it had a Strat bridge, which I had preferred at the time way more to the Jazzmaster bridge. After almost 4 years of waiting, it happened. I found a Lake Placid Blue Fender American Performer Jazzmaster on Marketplace. I immediately snagged it up. Now, over a year later, I really don't know what I think of it. When I got to see this specific guitar in person for the first time, it was love at first sight. I loved how it looked and I loved how it felt. However, I made one mistake when I was buying this guitar. The seller told me to bring my own headphones because he didn't have an amp and we'd be using the Line 6 HX Stomp. I know how the HX Stomp and all the Helix stuff sounds because I use the Helix native plugin all the time, but I forgot to bring my own headphones. So I was using his headphones that I wasn't really sure how they sounded or how they colored the sound. So when I played the guitar, it didn't really sound that great to me, especially the bridge pickup, but I ignored it on the account of it being the headphones issue. I bought it and brought it home, and I still wasn't really that big of a fan of the pickups. To me, the bridge pickup in particular sounded really off. It was super thin and way too bright. I primarily play indie rock and alternative rock, which the Jazzmaster helped define the sound of. But ironically, I can't get a good bridge pickup distortion sound on this guitar without turning the tone all the way down to 5, and then it doesn't even really sound like a single coil sound I'd imagine. I do, however, like the neck pickup on this guitar, as I felt it's reminded me more of my Strat neck pickup, but more on that in a bit. I found that these pickups worked way better for cleaner guitar sounds and for genres such as lo-fi and ambient music where you can have more effects on them, covering up the actual sound of the pickups. I still would typically turn down the tone knob quite a bit because they were still too bright for me, but it was okay. It became a little bit frustrating for me though that I couldn't use this guitar with my band because it just did not work with the sound of the band. It's okay to own guitars that you don't use for your main project. I own my Mustang that I will probably never use for Daryl Saves Lives, but I still love how it sounds. But this Jazzmaster was always seemingly battling me, and I never felt like I was actually getting what I wanted out of it, which became increasingly frustrating. Over the last year and a half, I've really started to actually dislike this guitar, and especially dislike how it sounds because of the pickups. It really surprised me that I didn't like the single coil pickups on this guitar. I'm a huge single coil pickup fan. The majority of my guitars are single coil pickups, and I had heard such great things about the Jazzmaster single coil pickups that I was really let down by this guitar. I thought that I just wasn't a Jazzmaster guy, which is okay, but I was kind of sad about it. Until I researched these pickups further. It turns out that these aren't actually Jazzmaster single coil pickups. They're Strat single coil pickups put into a Jazzmaster enclosure. All of a sudden, it made sense to me why I didn't like the bridge pickup on this guitar. I don't like Strat bridge pickups that much. The only Strat bridge pickup that I really like is on my Mexican Strat, because it's darker and bigger sounding than any other Strat pickup I've ever heard. It also makes sense why I like the neck pickup more on this guitar, because it sounds like a Strat neck pickup, which I like a lot. I also found out when researching this guitar that people really hate it. A lot of people hated the pickups on this guitar, which I could relate to, but they also hated the Strat bridge, which is funny because that was one of the main reasons why I wanted this guitar, and now it's one of the main reasons why I also don't really like this guitar. I think it does look kind of weird compared to the normal Jazzmaster look. People didn't like the American Special Jazzmaster because they put humbuckers in it and not single coil pickups. To me, it seems like Fender doesn't really care about the offset guitar community. Years after the American Special and the American Performer came out, Fender is still ignoring what the offset guitar community wants. They just announced their Player 2 series line, and they put Jazzmaster pickups in their Jazzmaster, but they didn't put the rhythm circuit in. And they did the same with the Jaguar as well. angering a lot of people in the offset guitar community. But I digress. Since I found that these pickups didn't sound good in typical standard tuning, I figured I would try something different to make them work for me. Over the last few years, I've had a change in philosophy on how I buy guitars. I used to buy and sell guitars all the time, and I used to buy guitars that I liked maybe the price of them more than the actual guitar. I always liked getting a good deal. A couple years ago, I sold off a ton of my collection to buy guitars that I liked. And this Jazzmaster was one of the first guitars that I bought, so it feels weird to not really gel with this guitar. So I figured I wanted to try and adapt to make this guitar work for me. So I tuned this guitar basically to a baritone tuning. I have it tuned to A standard right now, and I have actually enjoyed the guitar quite a bit more. It sounds pretty cool. I found that it works really well for cleaner sounds, and honestly the distortion sounds are sounding a lot better on it as well, I find. I found that I don't have to use a tone knob to get a nice darker sound, as the guitar is instinctively just more dark. Let's check out how this guitar sounds in the baritone tuning. Tuning this guitar down to baritone tuning has been really nice because I feel like I've been able to actually appreciate this guitar a lot more than I had been. However, after playing a bunch of baritone guitars recently, I realized that I just want to get a real baritone guitar or build a real baritone guitar rather than use this guitar, because the scale length, though it is almost a baritone, is still not a baritone and it plays like it. I want this guitar to be in standard tuning or in open tuning, and I want to use it live with my band, but I can't right now because I really don't like how it sounds. Since I'm not in love with this guitar, I really only have two options left with it. Either sell it or change the pickups in it. And honestly, I have hesitations with both options, and I need some help. I thought long and hard about what type of pickup I'd want to put into this guitar. Since I thought these were actually Jazzmaster pickups and that I didn't like Jazzmaster pickups, I figured that I would put a humbucker or a P90 pickup into it. I even considered putting a Fishman Classic open core into this guitar because I thought that'd be super cool. But now that I know that these aren't true Jazzmaster pickups, I think I lean towards putting an actual Jazzmaster single coil pickup into this guitar. But it feels like I'm kind of sinking money into something that I'm not in love with. Maybe I'd fall in love with it once I put a new pickup into it, but I'm not sure until I'm at that point and until I've spent that money. If I sold this Jazzmaster, I would buy another Jazzmaster that would hopefully fit my needs more than this Jazzmaster. It would suck seeing this guitar go because I do like how it looks and how it plays, but my needs have changed since I bought it, and I feel like I don't really connect with it as much as I used to. But that's where I'm at right now, and I really don't know what to do, so I wanted to ask you for some help. If you were in my situation, what would you do? Would you sell the guitar for a different guitar? Or would you get new pickups and put it in this guitar and give it one more chance? Please let me know in the comments down below, as I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking it and subscribing to the channel. I really want to try and hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year, and I think we can do it. So thank you so much again for watching this. I'm Cool G, and I'll see you in the next one.